a mask, whatever it takes. How covering your nose and mouth protects the people around you.
Just stay home, a local health leader's passionate plea. And the head of the Cleveland Clinic gives a surprising prediction as to when he believes the coronavirus will peak in Ohio.
And Mike Polk really misses sports. He's going to see how many shots he can make out of 10. Go to WKYC's Twitter page and vote how many you think he'll actually make. What's New starts right now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Happy Friday, everyone. We made it through another week of our new normal. Thanks so much for joining us on What's New. I'm Jay Crawford, broadcasting from home. My partner, Betsy Kling, is back at our WKYC studios. Once again, we'll remind you at the start of our show, we are awaiting President Trump's daily coronavirus briefing. And when he comes to the podium, we will take you there live. But Betsy, in the meantime, if you would, fill us in on the very latest coronavirus headlines here at home.
I will do that. Here we go. Let's have some good news to start. We do have good news for hospitals. State leaders have worked out a deal with Battelle. The company will sterilize masks for hospitals for free for the next 2 weeks. That is a huge development. And despite a bunch of layoffs because of the coronavirus, a lot of people are hiring. The governor said there are 21,000 open jobs in the state, and they're listed on the coronavirus page on the state's website. And of course, we also have the latest numbers for you for Ohio. There are 3,312 confirmed cases of coronavirus and 91 deaths. Well, the state of Ohio is taking testing into its own hands. Governor Mike DeWine wants testing done faster, and he wants more tests done. Laura Queso is here to explain the governor's order. Laura?
Yeah, and this is big news. I mean, the governor is basically saying that we can't wait any longer in Ohio when it comes to testing. So state leaders are stepping in here. Governor Mike DeWine announced today that the Ohio Department of Health and Ohio State are working together to make sure all components of test kits are produced here in Ohio. You see, there are 3 components to the kits: the tube, the liquid, and the swab. At any given time, a hospital may be missing one of those components, so healthcare workers can't test a patient.
For the hospitals around the state who are lacking these and have not been able to do tests, help is on the way. It is coming. In the next few days, they will be able to start getting these out to you, and you're going to be able to do take the swab and get that sample from the patient and then send it in.
And earlier this week, I told you about local hospital labs stepping in to test swabs from throughout the state. The governor says this is a game changer when it comes to fighting this pandemic together. More on that coming up for you at 6 o'clock. Laura Queso, 3 News.
Laura, thank you very much. Now to your feed at 5. And first up there, should we wear face masks or not? There's been a lot of back and forth on this debate, and we may get some clarification from the CDC momentarily. It's expected that at President Trump's news conference today, this will be addressed. But in the meantime, we have questions on what we should do. And Monica Robbins is joining us now. And I know, Monica, you've been digging in to the right way to cover our mouth and our nose. And I'm holding my breath here, hoping that I've been doing it right this whole time.
Yeah, I hope you have been too, Jay. Yeah, and there's still a huge debate on this, regardless of what the CDC says. But we told you from the very beginning that the way we deal with this virus may change as we learn more about it. And bear in mind, we've only known about this virus for 3 months since China told the world on December 31st. Now, we know that some people can spread the virus without having any symptoms, and it's believed that they are contagious at least 2 days before their symptoms appear. And there's also belief the virus can be spread just by talking. So that's why the CDC is now considering changing guidelines about wearing masks in public. Here's what you need to know.
So hand hygiene prior to putting the mask on, and then whichever type of mask, whether it's a homemade mask or one that's made out of a bandana, it should cover your nose and your chin. So it should cover over your nose and your chin. And then whenever the mask is removed, hand hygiene should be performed again. The one thing I will mention is what I notice when I go out to do my essential errands is people are having them like this. They're not where they're supposed to be. And what that predisposes a lot of individuals to do is to touch their face a lot more often. And you're really making things worse, and you're actually making yourself more prone to getting infection that way.
Now, the other important thing you have to remember is when you're wearing a mask, this is not to prevent you from necessarily getting the virus. It's to prevent you from giving it to other people. And you do not need a medical mask for this. The medical masks, the N95s, those are needed desperately on the front lines. Please leave those to the healthcare workers. These are things you can make yourself with a bandana, or there was tests done. One of the nicest things you can use is a heavy 100% cotton t-shirt, or even a pillowcase works really well if you want to make your mask out of that type of material. The key is you wear it correctly, and the only types of places you need to wear it is someplace like the grocery store or any essential place that you may be interacting with other people around it. And if you're just walking the dog outside and no one else is around you, Jay, you really don't need to wear one.
All right, very good. That's very helpful information. Cover the nose, cover the chin. You can use a T-shirt, so creativity will come into play. Monica, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next on Your Feed at 5, Governor Mike DeWine has asked all stores to come up with a limit of the number of customers that can be allowed inside at one time. He wants this to begin Monday, but some stores have already started making those changes. Lots of people doing work around the house now that they're home and have some extra time. We're all staying home. Well, Lowe's has now decided that store managers will monitor foot traffic, and they're going to limit how many customers are allowed inside at one time. They've already started doing this, even though it doesn't really kick in until Monday. They'll also now close at 7 p.m. That's so they can stock and sanitize the stores, and they'll provide masks and gloves to all associates. MEIJER will now close overnight. They'll do that for cleaning. They're also adding special hours for seniors on Monday and Thursday mornings, and first responders will have special hours on Monday and Wednesday mornings. COSTCO will only allow 2 people inside per membership card, and MENARDS is now allowing no pets, nobody under 16 years of age. As for the Home Depot, a slight change in their hours. They will now close at 6 p.m. and will also limit the number of customers allowed in the store at one time. A lot of information on this. We're going to have much more on what other stores are doing to protect their customers coming up tonight at 6 and 11. Betsy?
Well, as we continue to see the number of coronavirus cases rise each day, the health commissioner in Geauga County is concerned that too many people are still not following the stay-at-home order designed to protect all of us. 3 News reporter Brandon Simmons details the rising number of cases in that rural county.
Here in Geauga County, 33 people have tested positive for coronavirus, and while that number may seem low, it's a 32% increase from what they had just days ago. I spoke with Health Commissioner Tom Quaid about the increase in numbers, and he says part of the problem is that too many people are still treating this as business as usual, continuing to go out for things that they simply don't need to go out for. He says that stay-at-home order means exactly that, unless it's a life-essential item, whether it's healthcare, groceries, something of that nature, prescription medicine. You need to be staying inside, and he said that is the only tool we have that will help protect us from the spread of coronavirus.
And if folks aren't doing it, all we're going to do is let this thing go longer and longer and longer. The reality is we typically treat disease outbreaks with things like vaccines or specific treatments that we can then give to take care of the folks that get it. We have neither.
Now, again, I mentioned that number being low at just 33 right now, but Quaid pointed out that, of course, as we continue to get these test results, that's just a snapshot of history, and usually the number of actual cases out in the community is much higher than what the test results show. And he emphasized, like all the other healthcare professionals have told us, that this will get worse before it gets better, but it'll get better a lot quicker if we all do our part. In Geauga County, I'm Brandon Simmons, 3 News.
Well, so much of this story is focused on close contact and social distancing, and one place that it's really hard to social distance is in a jail, and I know that has
true.
been a particular focus for the state and now the county too.
Yeah, all sorts of problems there, certainly, Betsy. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you too, Russ. What are some of the headlines today?
Well, here we go. Good afternoon to you at home as well. The coronavirus has now hit the Cuyahoga County Jail. 6 inmates have tested positive and 2 others are believed to have the virus. The inmates are all in one pod and being medically cared for. None is critical. This is not surprising. U.S. employment dropped sharply last month. The Labor Department says payrolls plummeted, the first loss of jobs since 2010. And economists fear this is only the beginning. They estimate a month from now, we could see the loss of 10 to 15 million jobs. He was the soulful voice behind some of the most popular songs of all time, like that one, Lovely Day. Bill Withers died in Los Angeles of heart complications. He was a 3-time Grammy winner, and as you see right there, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2015. Some of his other big hits, Lean on Me and Ain't No Sunshine. Bill Withers was 81 years old. A big loss. I was a big Bill Withers fan. You?
Oh my gosh, yes. Don't you remember back in 2015 at the Rock Hall ceremony? Bill Withers was inducted, and then Stevie Wonder came out, and Bill Withers and Stevie Wonder and John Legend all sang Ain't No Sunshine. I thought I was going to die there on the spot. It was just one of the most memorable things I've ever seen.
To borrow a phrase, Betsy, I know. I could go on.
All right. Thanks so much, Russ.
All right.
Jay, over to you.
Well, Betsy, the one thing we know is that music has incredible power, especially in times like these. It can bring us all together, and that's exactly what happened today at Crocker Park in Westlake. People who live there took part in a lunch break sing-along. I love this story. Take a look. How about that? Many of the residents blasted Q104 at the same time and sang from their cars or their apartments, wherever they were. Local musicians Hayden Grove and Megan Zerke performed on the streets of Crocker Park, and I think that is pretty cool. Ahead on What's New? You want live sports, I want live sports. Well, we're going to get it. What's New is the only game in town. Oh, this is going to be a treat, and it's coming up about 13 minutes from now. You don't want to miss it. Also ahead, we're going to go to Steph's place to see what is clicking in Cleveland. Hi, Steph.
Jay, there are changes to public park access in Ohio taking effect tonight. We'll fill everyone in about that. Now let's head over to Michael Estime's house to get a preview of the weather. Michael?
Stephanie, thank you and happy Friday. I hope that you enjoyed the sunshine today. It'll last throughout the first half of tomorrow, but Saturday night into Sunday, rain returns. We'll pinpoint the exact timing for you coming up.
Well, it's time now to see what's been clicking in Cleveland, and Stephanie Haney joins us from her place. Stephanie, you have an update from the governor.
I do, Betsy. We were just hearing from Russ how we've got positive COVID-19 cases in jails. We know there's at least one death of someone in custody. So along those lines, Governor Mike DeWine has identified 38 inmates for potential early release. So the state will be sending letters to the judges who sentence those inmates, asking them to review their cases.
And the judge will follow the normal procedure. We'll hold a hearing and we'll make a determination whether these individuals are appropriate, these women appropriate to be released early.
So the governor there mentioned women. So 23 of the 38 inmates are women who are either currently pregnant or recently gave birth. The other 15 are over the age of 60 and are approaching their release dates, and the state believes they could potentially be released early. Now, keep in mind there are no violent criminals or no people who have committed violent crimes here, and no sex offenders. These are all high-risk individuals, and the goal here is to save lives. So along those same lines, we do have our first full state park closure here in Ohio. It's the Hocking Hills State Park in southern Ohio that will close today. That was announced by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And the reason for that, according to Director Mary Mertz, even though it was a difficult decision, is because there are narrow trails on the path where it's impossible to step off the trail, which makes it impossible for people to keep that 6 feet of distance. So that will take place tonight at sunset officially at Hocking Hills State Park. Now keep in mind, Betsy, we were talking about yesterday how there have been changes here for the metro parks and also Summit County parks and patrolling. They are still open because those parks, you can stay more than 6 feet away from people. So we can take advantage of that here in Northeast Ohio. So there's some good news for us.
We definitely can. And I got to tell you, there's this one part of that Hocking Hills park that is stairs that are narrow and winding. You don't want to get up there anyway.
Yep.
So now you don't have to worry about it. Thanks so much, Stephanie. I appreciate it. All right, well, finally, the weather looks like it's in our favor to be able to get out and do some social distancing out and about. So we turn to Michael Estime to make sure that everything is on track as we're headed into the weekend. Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Yeah, Betsy, doing well. Thank you so much. I actually had an opportunity earlier this morning to head and walk around beautiful downtown Cleveland, right around the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the sunshine out there. It felt great, although it was a little cooler lakeside. We'll talk about why coming up. But as Betsy mentioned, it'll be a beautiful evening. We'll call it mostly clear. Let me take you to the maps and show you what it should look like tonight. Temperatures continuing their downward spiral. I think that will eventually actually bottom out overnight tonight and then through early tomorrow morning, right around freezing. But if you're joining me from, say, Akron, Canton area, and maybe you are an essential worker in Cleveland toward downtown, you may have noticed that it's a big temperature divide when we're talking about driving from an inland area to a lakeside area. The reason for that is because of our lake breeze. Water temperatures in terms of Lake Erie right now in the lower 40s, and of course with a northerly breeze off the water, what that does is that cools the air immediately along the lake shore, and it's one of the reasons why places like Menor on the Lake, downtown Cleveland, are much cooler than perhaps Akron Canton area. And let me show it to you. Notice that right now we're tracking winds generally from the north between 5 to 15 miles per hour. That again inducing that subtle lake breeze. So in places like Ashtabula at the Cuyahoga County Airport, we're only in the 40s. Meanwhile, we're enjoying 60s inland. Dover, New Philly, down toward Mansfield at 61 degrees. Here's what's on the way. We're dry right now, but just off toward our west, you can see where there's a cold front. That cold front moves through here Saturday night into Sunday morning, bringing with it a chance for some rain showers. So again, enjoy the sunshine while we have it. Your National Design hour-by-hour forecast showing you a dry forecast this evening. As we mentioned, it will get chilly. I think first thing tomorrow morning, you're waking up temperatures hovering around freezing. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll slowly start to increase those clouds, and by tomorrow night into early Sunday morning, a couple of light scattered showers in the mix. In the meantime, your Universal Windows Direct Full 7-Day showing you temperatures again falling to freezing tonight. There's that overnight rain chance Saturday night into Sunday with an isolated chance on Monday as well. 60s Tuesday, but Betsy, we tumble from mid-60s on Wednesday, nosediving into the 40s by the end of next week. Betsy, back to you.
Yep, still spring. We can't get away from it, unfortunately. That means we got to take a few ups and downs, but at least we get the sunshine for now. That's great. Thanks so much, Michael. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. Well, I know everybody's getting a little stir crazy out there, missing some live sports, but Mike Polk, well, he's just getting warmed up. How many baskets will he make? Weigh in on our Twitter poll on the WKYC Twitter page. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to What's New. If you're anything like me, you are missing live sports. But don't fear, Mike Polk is here. Mike, where are you and what are you doing to scratch our sports itch?
Well, Jay, as you know, there's a big void right now in America for live television sports. And they're not coming back for a while, so I thought I would by doing some live sports here. The only place you can watch live sports is on Channel 3 right now, and I'm here in Bay Village at my one friend who's doing well's house, and he has a nice hoop, so I'm going to shoot 10 baskets. I'm going to shoot 10 three-pointers using these 10 balls off this shoe rack that I brought from home, and then we're going to see how many I can make out of 10. How's that sound, Jay?
That sounds great. 10 three-point shots. Now, a good three-point shooter in the NBA shoots 35% or so. So we did a Twitter poll. We were asking everybody how many they think Mike will make. And Mike, 34% say that they think you'll make between 1 and 3. 29% of the people think you'll make between 4 and 7. But there are 19% of those that weighed in on the poll think that you will make 0 out of 10. Prove them wrong.
Wow, that's, you know, I like where the bar's at right now. Okay, just a reminder, I haven't played basketball since grade school, but I don't think that's going to affect my game. All right, you ready, guys? I need somebody to count me off.
Let's go. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, here we go. That one is off the mark. There's another miss. Did that one go in? I can't tell. My monitor here is so small.
That's bad.
Has he made any yet?
Hold on. This rim's a little warm.
He still hasn't made one.
It's gonna happen. Hold on. Here it
Oh, that
goes.
was very close.
There it goes. That went in. That went in.
I think that went in.
I got 2.
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
And it counts! Mike, I think you made 2 of them.
I did make 2 baskets, Jay. Thank you for noticing. I want to thank everybody for being so supportive.
It's pretty good.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Especially, it's a pandemic. I think considering it's a pandemic and everything, I just kept my nose to the grindstone, tried to do the best I could out there, and I made 2 out of 10.
Now, Mike, I couldn't help but notice that you were a real money performer. When it got down to crunch time and you hadn't made any yet, you make 2 3 balls late in the game. Have you always been a clutch performer like this?
Well, I was getting towards the end there, Jay, and I remembered that my dad might be watching and that he has to go to work eventually again. And I didn't want his friends at work to be busting him and stuff like that because his son couldn't make 1 3-pointer. So I think I dug down deep for it, found my fear of my dad, and I used that.
Well, Mike, I have to say, I'm impressed. 2 out of 10. It probably won't get you a gig in the NBA, but it's better than I thought you were going to do. We talked earlier today, and you expected you would make none.
That's right. I was setting the bar real low. That's what I do in life, and that way, if you don't get anywhere, then hey, you beat expectations. That's how I look at it. And I hope everybody enjoyed live sports on Channel 3, the only place you can see it right now.
I think they did. I know I did. You have a couple of days before you can put something together for your next live sporting event, because we want to do this weekly. We want to be the provider of live sports on a weekly basis. Mike Polk, thank you so much for scratching that sports itch.
No problem, guys.
What's New is going to continue. But I am told that President Trump is making his way to the podium for his daily coronavirus briefing, so we will join him now. Already in progress.
Congratulate everybody out there, but I thought I'd have Kevin say a few words. So, Kevin, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I would like to thank you on behalf of California. Governor Newsom says the work that you're doing together has been working very closely. Has been effective in California as well, Vice President and the President. Today, Mr. President, I want to thank you especially for the work that Secretary Mnuchin has done, especially for small businesses. Just today alone, I saw Bank of America had more than 10,000 loans in 2 hours. And for anybody who's in small business, I had first small business when I was 20 years old. You don't have income coming in right now, you get a loan, but for your rent, paying your employees, and paying your utilities is a grant. That's part of the CARES Act. And I think you're going to find that a lot of small businesses are going to hire people back, keep them afloat through the next 2 months, and get this economy moving again as we get through this virus. So I just want to thank you for all that work.
Thank you. Great job you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. You go ahead.
I'll talk to you later. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And I want to start by saying that our hearts go out to the people of New York as they bear the brunt of the coronavirus pandemic. In America, that seems to be the hot spot right now, but you have some others, as you know, that are very, very bad, very bad. Louisiana is getting hit very hard. Parts of Michigan are getting hit very, very hard. New Jersey is surprisingly, it's much greater than anybody would have thought. They're doing a really good job. Governor's doing a really good job out there. New York's first responders, EMTs, doctors, nurses are showing incredible courage under pressure. They're the best in the world. We will take every action and we'll spare no resource, financial, medical, scientific. We will not spare anything. We'll get it back into shape. The Empire State, the governor's doing an excellent job. They're all working very hard together. At the request of the governor, as you know, the Javits Center, we have 2,500 beds, and we're going to allow that to be a system where this horrible disease can be looked after, the patients can be looked after. That was going to be for regular medical problems, such as accidents. And, it's very interesting. The governors tell me we don't have too many accidents and very few people driving. So we're going to put that facility into play, which is a big facility. The ship will be staying the way it is, but we're putting that facility into play to help them. And today also the CDC is announcing additional steps Americans can take to defend against the transmission of the virus. From recent studies, we know that the transmission from individuals without symptoms is playing a more significant role in the spread of the virus than previously understood. So you don't seem to have symptoms and it still gets transferred. In light of these studies, the CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it. They suggest it for a period of time, but this is voluntary. I don't think I'm going to be doing it, but you have a lot of ways you can look at it as follows. The CDC is recommending that Americans wear a basic cloth or fabric mask that can be either purchased online or simply made at home, probably material that you'd have at home. These face coverings can be easily washed or reused. I want to emphasize that the CDC is not recommending the use of medical grade or surgical grade masks, and we want that to be used for our great medical people that are working so hard and doing some job. Medical protective gear must be reserved for the frontline healthcare workers who are performing those vital services. The new mask guidelines also do not replace CDC's guidance on social distancing, including staying in your home when possible, standing at least 6 feet apart for a period of time. Again, we're going to all come back together here. We're going to all come back together and practicing hand hygiene, which we should do anyway. A lot of things I think are going to spill over. Shaking hands maybe will stay with our country for a long time beyond this. One of our great doctors was telling me that, as you know, we have flus every year, and the number of people killed by the flu is very substantial. It said that if they didn't shake hands, that number would be substantially lower. So maybe it'll stay. Maybe some of these things long term will be good. But those guidelines are still the best and the safest way to avoid the infection. So with the masks, it's going to be really a voluntary thing. You can do it. You don't have to do it. I'm choosing not to do it, but some people may want to do it, and that's okay. It may be good. Probably will. They're making a recommendation. It's only a recommendation. It's voluntary. We're also taking action to ensure the cost of no barrier to any American seeking testing or treatment of the coronavirus. The largest insurer nationwide, the Blue Cross Blue Shield system, has now announced that it will not require any co-pays, which is really something. That's a tremendous statement, from patients of the virus treatment for the next 60 days, similar to the commitments of Cigna, Humana, Anthem. Those are great companies, and they're all doing the same thing. So co-pays, for them to do that it's a big statement. We appreciate it. Today I can so proudly announce that hospitals and healthcare providers treating uninsured coronavirus patients will be reimbursed by the federal government using funds from the economic relief package Congress passed last month. So that was as per the question yesterday, and actually the day before yesterday. This should alleviate any concern uninsured Americans may have about seeking the coronavirus treatment. So that's, I think, answers the question pretty well, and very much in the favor of our great people. I'm also signing a directive invoking the Defense Production Act to prohibit export of scarce health and medical supplies by unscrupulous actors and profiteers. The Secretary of Homeland Security will work with FEMA to prevent the export of N95 respirators, surgical masks, gloves, and other personal protective equipment. We need these items immediately for domestic use. We have to have them. But we've done really well with the purchase of items, and you'll be hearing about that shortly. We've already leveraged the DPA to stop the hoarding and price gouging of crucial supplies. Under that authority, this week, the Department of Health and Human Services, working with the Department of Justice, took custody of nearly 200,000 N95 respirators, 130,000 surgical masks, 600,000 gloves, as well as bottles, many, many, many bottles, and disinfectant sprays that were being hoarded. All of this material is now being given to healthcare workers. Most of it's already been given out. And we've given a lot to New York, a lot to New Jersey, a lot to other places. In addition, to ensure that healthcare workers in New York have the protective equipment they need, the federal government, in the name of the Department of Defense, is providing about 8.1 million N95 respirators, Department of Defense, and we've already given 200,000 of them to New York City. Mayor de Blasio needed them very badly, so we got them to Mayor de Blasio in New York City. They were very grateful. 8.1 million, and we're going to be increasing that number from 8.1 million to more. That's a lot of N95 respirators. Today, my team spoke with the CEO of Ochsner Health and the CEO of LCMC, the two largest health systems in New Orleans. They said they feel that they currently have enough ventilators. I think a lot of people are going to have enough ventilators and masks and appreciate what we did and all of the things we've been doing with them, working with them. The CEO of Ochsner, Warner Thomas, who's really been fantastic, I have to say, indicated a need for 230,000 surgical gowns, and I instructed FEMA to deliver them tomorrow, so they'll have the 230,000. That's Louisiana, New Orleans. 230,000 surgical gowns, they'll have them by tomorrow. We're expanding the role of the armed forces in our response effort because no one is better prepared to win a war than the United States military, and we are in a war. The invisible enemy, remember. Over 9,000 retired Army medical personnel have answered their nation's call and are now supporting field hospitals and medical facilities all across the country, like what I just told you, that Governor Cuomo requested we do something in Javits where we take it over, and we're going to have that manned by the military, because it's very tough to get people, more people in the New York area, so we're going to have it manned by the military. Javits Center. National Guard members have been activated to help states build new treatment centers and assist in the seamless distribution of medical supplies. That includes National Guard. The National Guard is assisting very strongly because the states were, in many cases, unable to have the delivery capability from warehouses and other places that we put the supplies. So I've given approval to use the National Guards, the various National Guards in the different states. And they're doing a fantastic job of not only protecting people, but delivering material. The Army Corps of Engineers has assessed more than 100 facilities in all 50 states and is rapidly building temporary hospitals and alternative care sites in many states, in New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, Ohio. They're doing a lot of work, and just those states plus additionals that are will be announced probably tomorrow, but they're doing some job. The Army Corps of Engineers, what a job they're doing, and FEMA, what a job they're doing. As we deploy the power of our military, we're also deploying the skill of our doctors, scientists, and medical researchers. We continue to study the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine and other therapies in the treatment and prevention of the virus, and we will keep the American people fully informed of our findings. Hydroxychloroquine, I don't know, it's looking like it's having some good results. I hope that would be a phenomenal thing, but we have it right now. In approximately now, it's increased to 1,500 people. I spoke with Dr. Zucker in New York, terrific guy, by the way. We're doing a good job. And I spoke to Governor Cuomo last evening and this morning about it. So it's been there for about 3.5 days, but I think, and many other places it's being tested too. And we have a tremendous supply of it. We've ordered it in the case that it works, and it could have some pretty big impacts. So we'll see what happens. My administration is also working to get relief to American workers and businesses. In day one of the Paycheck Protection Program, as Kevin said, more than $3.5 billion in guaranteed loans have been processed to help small businesses keep their workers employed during the unprecedented time, And Bank of America has been incredible. Of the big banks, Bank of America has really stepped forward and done a great job. And then you have the community banks, your smaller banks, and we're already at $3.5 billion going out to incredible people. But that's way ahead of schedule. The SBA and the Treasury are working around the clock, and our banking partners are really incredible. And they're ensuring that the money gets to small businesses as quickly as possible, and then the small business, in turn, take care of employees that they would have had to let go, and now they'll keep them. And that's good. And then they're going to open for business, and they're going to have their employees, and we'll try and get back to where we were. Eventually, we're going to supersede where we were. The energy industry has been especially hard hit in the crisis. This afternoon, I met with Greg Garland of Phillips 66, Dave Hager of Devon Energy, Harold Ham of Continental Resources, Jeff Hildebrand of Hillcorp Energy, Vicki Hollub of Occidental Petroleum, Mike Summers of the American Petroleum Institute, Kelsey Warren of Energy Transfer Partners, Mike Worth of Chevron, and Darren Woods of ExxonMobil. I informed them that we will be making space available in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to let American producers store surplus oil that can be sold at a later time. There's a tremendous abundance of oil, primarily because of the virus. The virus has just stopped demand of everything, including oil. So we're working with our great energy companies. These are great companies. They employ tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And they've kept America really going for a long time, and no big price hikes, no big anything. I mean, they've just kept it going, and now they got hit. But with all the jobs and all of the good that they do, we're going to make sure that they stay in good shape. America's engaged in a historic battle to safeguard the lives of our citizens, our future society. Our greatest weapon is the discipline and determination of every citizen to stay at home and stay healthy for a long time. And we want them to stay healthy for a long time. So stay at home. This is ending. This will end. You'll see some bad things, and then you're going to see some really good things. And it's not going to be too long. We will heal our citizens, and we will care for our neighbors, and we will unleash the full might of the United States of America to vanquish the virus. And with that, I'd like to ask Mike Pence to come up, Vice President, say a few words, and we'll have a couple of other quick talks on a couple of subjects, and we'll take questions. And it's a beautiful Friday in Washington, D.C.
All right, the big headline there is President Trump announcing that the Center for Disease Control is now recommending that all Americans wear face masks in an attempt to help battle the coronavirus. We will continue to stream President Trump's daily coronavirus briefing. You can find that on our website, WKYC.com. Well, we need a smile. We need a video that will make us smile, and I think this one will do the trick. Check this out.
Right foot, 2 stumps. Left foot, 2 stumps. Slide to the left. Slide to the right. Crisscross. Crisscross.
How good is that? Hugh Jackman actually brought that to everyone's attention when he tweeted that out earlier today. They are the real superheroes, but they can move too, Jackman said. All these doctors work at a hospital in Oregon. Betsy, it made me smile. Pretty cool, talented, and they've got the moves. I like it.
And dancing is just such a great way to clear the air, so I'm sure that they definitely needed that. Thanks so much, Jay. I like that story a lot. Let's get everybody caught up on the latest of today's coronavirus news. We have some good news for hospitals. State leaders have worked out a deal with Battelle. That's the company down around Columbus that's going to sterilize masks for hospitals for free for the next 2 weeks. That's very good news. And the number of cases in Ohio reached 3,300 612. 91 people have died in the state now. And U.S. unemployment numbers dropped drastically. U.S. employment numbers dropped drastically. The U.S. economy lost 701,000 jobs in March, bringing a 10-year streak of employment gains to a halt. Again, that is because of the coronavirus. Well, it's time now for our top talker. The president and CEO of the Cleveland Clinic was on the network morning talk shows earlier today talking about the coronavirus situation in Ohio. Dr. Tom Mihaljevic told Morning Joe there are some signs that the rate of infections in Ohio may be starting to slow a bit. Take a listen.
We are seeing some encouraging signs, meaning that the number of patients who are infected here in Ohio seems to be relatively stable, or it's growing at a relatively slow pace. We certainly hope that this trend will continue, but it's still too early to tell. We'll need another week or so to see whether we're flattening the curve effectively or not.
Well, Dr. Mihaljevic also says that if everyone keeps following the social distancing rules, Ohio could see the peak of the virus hit between mid-May and mid-June. Obviously, there are some differing numbers there with the state, but everybody is working toward the same thing: stay away from each other. We'll be right back.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You know, as I sat watching Michael's forecast earlier, I couldn't help but chuckle because Michael is in a full-on suit working from home. Only Michael. You are always so dapper.
Oh my goodness, you know, it was one of those things just to kind of create a sense of normalcy for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go all in, get the pocket square and everything. And boy, oh boy, I've got to... Thank you. I appreciate it. And you know what? Something that I feel like a lot of folks really appreciated this morning is you woke up and you saw that sunshine. It looked great. It felt so good. as well. And I got some good news for you as well. Not only are we going to continue to hold on to that sunshine throughout the remainder of the evening before sunset, but tomorrow morning looks phenomenal as well. If you want to head out to any of the local metro parks in the area, of course, observing the 6-foot social distancing rules that are in place as well. Mid-50s right now with sunshine. That's farther in and a little bit cooler lakeside, though. Let me take you to our National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast and show you what I was talking about. I think that throughout the rest of this evening, things actually look really good. Because we don't have that, quote, blanket of cloud cover overhead, that's going to allow for what we call radiational cooling. So notice that temperatures down around Dover, New Philadelphia area, perhaps hovering around that freezing mark. So low, perhaps mid-30s lakeside overnight. It'll be a chilly overnight and a chilly start first thing Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, we'll slowly see clouds on the increase. Temperatures should make it into the 60s inland. I think will be a pinch cooler closer toward the lake. And then overnight on Saturday into Sunday, a couple of quick moving rain showers I think will move on through. So something to watch out for as you're starting off your Sunday morning. Your Universal Windows Direct full 7-day forecast in the meantime showing you again those overnight showers expected Saturday night into early on Sunday. I think the rest of Sunday looks decent. Monday, an isolated rain chance. We'll hang on to more cloud cover. How about that? Mid-60s on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder before we nosedive back into the 40s to round out this upcoming work week. But I got to say, Betsy, I cannot wait for those mid-60s. That will feel so good here in Northeast Ohio.
I think everybody agrees. If the weather would just cooperate, we could totally handle the situation that we are dealing with. But it's when it's gray and we're cooped up,
Absolutely.
Not the best combo. All right. Thanks so much, Michael, for giving us some hope. We'll be right back.
Yeah. You know, Jay, we have some other news to share as well. Selena Gomez has been open about suffering from mental health issues.
Welcome back to What's New. Like us, Hollywood is stuck at home too. How are they dealing with it? Stephanie fills us in today's Pop Break.
Tom Holland put his Spidey skills to good use by taking the shirtless handstand challenge. Yep, it's a thing. Then he challenged Jake Gyllenhaal, thank you internet, and Ryan Reynolds, but Reynolds was not feeling it.
No.
We may not not have gotten to see him shirtless, but Reynolds did announce for every bottle of aviation gin delivered by May 1st, his company will donate a 30% tip to bartenders in Canada and the U.S. Cheers to that. Jimmy Kimmel and Jennifer Aniston teamed up to surprise a Utah nurse, Kimball Fairbanks, who tested positive for coronavirus. Now isolated from her kids, Aniston thanked her for her hard work. Then this.
You're going to be getting a $10,000 gift certificate from Postmates.
Yes, from Postmates.
Postmates also gave all nurses on Kimball's floor gift cards, too, to help pay for food deliveries. Global superstar Taylor Swift helped launch a home DJ series on SiriusXM Hits 1 channel today.
And I'm so sick of them coming at me again. 'Cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man.
Swift was up first, with other pop stars including Niall Horan, Diplo, and Charlie Puth taking their turns at the turntables, playing their most requested hits and their own favorite music. And Adam Sandler debuted his quarantine song on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, praising doctors and nurses.
We gotta build some ventilators and make them more masks. We gotta do it now so let's all come together. I'm teaching math to my kids and that can't be good for America.
The song also says, stay home and wash your hands, which is great advice as we head into the weekend.
You know, Adam Sandler might not be good at math, but he's great at those parody songs. We've got some other news to share, too, as well, Jay. Selena Gomez is an open advocate for mental health awareness, has been open about her struggles. And today, with Miley Cyrus on Instagram Live, she shared that she's actually been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and that it was terrifying at first, but now she's got all the knowledge she needs. That took the fear away, and now she has the support that she needs, too. So she's in a positive place.
Knowledge is power, as they say. Stephanie, thank you. Have a great weekend. We're back to wrap up another week of What's New after our final break. Stay with us.
Hey, mic check. How are ya? Mic check, mic check. You know what? Let me double check.
Sure. Anna Maria is a 98-bed facility that...
Mic check, mic check. Mic check.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
This is a completely different story for people of color.
Mask?
Because masks.
Yeah.
The first thing I was like, oh my God, it's a black man in a mask.
Yeah.
We made it through another week. I hope you have a great weekend. Betsy, take good care of you and your family, and we'll see you on Monday.
All right, Jay, sounds good. What matters most with Russ and Laura starts right now.